One of the first things that you want to note when you're making the switch from a classical or traditional style of piano playing to a contemporary is to know and understand that you play a very different role. Often keys are one instrument in a whole band, and so there's a few things to note that you just don't do. The first thing is don't play the melody. Don't play the melody of the song, the lead sheet, any of those kind of things. Oftentimes people are taught to play a chord in their left hand and melody in their right, like So we don't play the melody in a contemporary setting because that line, that melody is already covered. We sing that. We have vocalists that cover that. Okay? So you don't need to play that and should not be playing the melody unless it's for very specific instances where you're wanting to double that melody. One of the second major differences is that contemporary music, and when you're playing off lead sheet or chord sheet, is really based on learning a song audibly with your ears. You're learning it that way rather than learning with your eyes by what you see. If you have a very accomplished piano player, they can just sit down and play whatever you put in front of them, even if they don't know the song. And that's not true in a contemporary setting. You need to listen to the song. You need to be able to hear the parts and figure out how to play based on what you're hearing rather than what you're seeing. For many, this is the scariest part of playing in a contemporary setting because you've always learned to play with your eyes rather than with your ears. I encourage you to lean into that, really see how you can begin to listen to music, hear the song, and be able to translate that into what you're playing. Third thing we'll mention is that contemporary music is much more rhythm-based than melodic or harmonic-based. So that's one of the main differences between classical music and contemporary is how much more of a rhythm instrument even the keys become oftentimes. Rhythm is a driver within this genre, and we want to make sure that we're playing rhythm appropriately. One of the things that many classical musicians will struggle with is the many syncopations that happen within contemporary music. And finding the right groove or the right syncopation to go with that is one of the major hurdles that we'll be talking about as we look at contemporary music. The final thing I want to reiterate is just that in a contemporary setting, often the keyboard is one instrument of many. Even if you have just another acoustic guitar or a bass player, if you don't have a lot of other things like instruments or backing tracks, the keyboard still plays a specific role within that and is not covering all the parts. So one of the biggest differences is you always have to ask is what role is the keyboard playing within this song, within this setting, and that should really change your approach to how you're playing. So with that intro, let's jump into some of the technical aspects of playing off of a lead sheet or chord sheet.